Welcome in to an almost football is back edition of the Extra Yard here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. I am Alex Donno alongside former Miami Dolphins running back who's showing off the guns today. I don't have my tickets to the gun show, Troy Stradford, but how are you doing? Whoa, look at that. How you doing, Troy?
It's all fake. Don't worry about it.
Well, I know you work out because sometimes when we've done these Extra Yard shows, you've had your camera in your home gym. So you're telling me you don't use the home gym that you have there?
Sad to say, I can't remember the last time I walked through it, but I never stop and do something in it.
Yeah.
Well, that's the I need to get a membership somewhere at a gym. Something that I pay for that I need to go to, and then I'll be dedicated to it. When it's in your house, you're like, I ain't got to do that right now.
When it's in your house and the equipment's already paid for, there's no motivation. Well, if you see, like, the prices of gym memberships have gone like way up. So if you're paying like hundreds of dollars a month to be part of like the really nice ones, like if you're part of, I think even LA, I don't even know what it is these days because I actually like. At one point, it got, because I'm the opposite. For me, if it's too expensive, I'm not doing it. So I quit my gym membership like a year ago, and I just do like push-ups and sit-ups at home when I feel like it is what I do.
That's the best exercise.
Yeah, it is.
Just get down before you go to bed and when you wake up.
That's what usually not when I wake up because I'm usually just like too cranky. But before I go to bed is when I usually hit it.
If you do 50-50, you will see a difference that's incredible in your body. Absolutely. Maybe I'll start that like next week.
This would be a good time to start, right? Because NFL training camps are about to get started. Miami Dolphins, the veterans have reported today. And the first real training camp practice is going to be in 5 days, Troy. July 30th is when training camp officially opens for your Miami Dolphins. But the gang is getting back together. They are reporting today. On this episode, we're not only going to talk about Troy's biggest concerns and our biggest storylines heading into this season. We're going to talk about some expectations because the Dolphins have made top 10 in some power rankings, big expectations. But I also I want to play a little bit on Troy's experience. So you went through a number of Dolphins training camps under Don Shula back in the day. You know, they don't do 2-a-days and 3-a-days anymore like they used to when Shula was there. Right. What was that first day of training camp like with Don Shula? Because I'm picturing a lot of people throwing up all over the practice facility.
I tell you this, like way back then, I was actually a holdout. I was a 4th-round draft pick, but I was a holdout. And so behind the scenes, I'm sitting there talking to my agent like, dude, I got to get to camp. Like, I got to get in there because I'm a 4th-round draft pick. They don't care about me right now. I said, I got to go to work. And so I think I was a holdout for maybe 2 days. Okay. 2 days. And I remember the first 2 days that I was holding out that I got in my car and I drove to the facility, to the field. I got lost. Like I didn't know 826 from 95.
And you didn't have GPS back then either.
You didn't have GPS back then. So I rode around. I was going up and down 95 and I go, this is not it. This is not it. I was like, all right, try this highway. So I tried that highway and it was 826 and I finally found St. Thomas. And so I rode by the practice field and I saw all the players out there and it like just hit my heart. I was like, this is where, or that's where I need to be right now. But it didn't happen. But finally I got the deal done. I go into camp and now I'm sitting there like, I don't know, kindergartner in the classroom, right? Sitting there looking around like, I don't want to be here. It's just too much going on. But you get acclimated to it and everything works out.
Wow, I'm happy it worked out. And then like once you actually get on that field for the first time, you talked about the meeting room.
No. When you get on the field, and you allow your talents to do everything, so you don't have to sit there and think about, okay, am I good enough or anything? When you put your eyes on other players and you know what you could do, it's just like magical. Like, because I remember going to my first practice and I remember looking at all the talent that was around. And like I did in college, I go, I'm better than all of them. I hate to sound cocky or anything like that, but that was the reality for me at that time. I'm sure there are guys that go to training camp or whatever, and they sit there and they got to really, really fight hard. Like they didn't have the skills, but I mean, one day for me, and I was like, I'm good. I'm relaxed.
Do you remember like the first time in practice that you got noticed by Coach Shula? And was it for something good or something bad? Like, did he give you like dap for like, hey, Troy, that great play? Or was it like, what the hell are you doing?
You know, he only yelled at me one time.
Really?
One time. And it was in the middle of a game and something happened. I don't remember what happened, but it was hot down here like it is now. It's been blazing hot down here. And we're playing the game. And so I'm sitting on the bench and I have my head down, like collecting my breath and, getting ready. And he comes from the sideline and he's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? That was Shula. Like, what are you doing? And I go, Donno. I said back to him, because this is in the middle of a game. And I go, I'm all right. I'm just catching my breath. Like I yelled back at him.
Wow.
And after he walked away, I sat there to myself and I go, oh, shit.
I just yelled at Don Shula.
Oh, I just yelled at Don Shula, because times were different way back then. You couldn't do that. You couldn't talk, or you weren't supposed to do that. Talk back to the coach. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I just yelled back at him. But I was caught up in the moment. I'm like I'm not withering away. I'm not checking out. I'm just here getting myself ready. Like, leave me alone. And that was it. That was really the only exchange we really had.
Now, what about like your first exchanges with Dan Marino? Like, I'm assuming you guys probably became pretty fast friends because he liked, having an offensive weapon like yourself. But what was it like when you first got to know Dan?
It was interesting. Like when camp started and I'm going through camp, I wasn't able to work with Dan Marino. I wasn't on the first team. I wasn't able to work with Duper and Clayton and Dwight Stevenson. I was on the second team. So I would go in there. I was working with Don Straub. And thank goodness that I did. Seriously. Because Don Straub, and we actually had a strike that year. A lot of people don't remember that.
Oh.
All of the money that these guys are making nowadays, like we were part of it way back then, striking to change the rules. And so, yeah, they do need to pay us. We'll get around to that. But yeah, Don Straub, we used to practice on our own, no coaches. We would go to, I think it was Miami Dade. I forgot what the name of the park was. And Dan Marino would still work with Duper and Clayton and the first team. And then I would go up with Don Straub. And Don Straub would call a play in the huddle. And we get to the line of scrimmage. And there was a sequence that a quarterback went through. And if he went through the sequence, that means that he's changing the play. And so he changed the play every single time. And I'm like, why does he keep changing the play? Like, because I didn't know all of the plays, like the back of my hand. So he would change the play. But in hindsight, it actually helped me in the future when I got to go into the huddle and play with Dan Marino and the first team, because when he changed the play, I was ready for the next play. So it was all right.
I love it. Alex Donno alongside Troy Stradford.
Don Strock played a major role in my career. Nat Moore, Tony Nathan, those guys played a major role.
I love it. Here with Troy Stradford, I'm Alex Donno on the Extra Yard. Miami Dolphins veterans reporting for training camp today. First training camp practice is going to be on July 30th. High expectations heading into this season, Troy. Even though the Dolphins are in one of the toughest divisions in the league on paper, I was looking at the preseason power ranking on Bleacher Report, their latest edition. Not only do they have the Miami Dolphins in the top 10, they have the Miami Dolphins in the top 7, which means they meet expectations. They're not only a playoff team, but they're a team that should be making a deep run in the playoffs. And that was something that Mike McDaniel talked about today. He said, like, getting to the playoffs, we did that last year, been there, done that. We really want to win in the playoffs. That's what they're looking to do this year. So the Dolphins rank number 7 in the latest Bleacher Report NFL power ranking. Let me pull up the full list to see who we are behind. I think we're at some point behind the Buffalo Bills, but we're ahead of the Jets and way ahead of the Patriots in that power ranking. So the Jets come in at number 11, the Chargers at 10, the Jaguars at 9, the Baltimore Ravens at 8, the Dolphins coming in at number 7 in that power ranking, the Dallas Cowboys at number 6, the San Francisco 49ers at 5, the Bills at number 4, the Eagles at number 3, Super Bowl runner-ups from last year, the Cincinnati Bengals at number 2, and the Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs at number 1. So the Dolphins are in some good company there.
I'm okay with that. The Miami Dolphins are ranked there. People are sitting there saying the Miami Dolphins, they have enough talent where they can actually make some noise here, and they have them at number 7. That's fine. That's fine with me. And it is time. Coach McDaniel, it is time where the Miami Dolphins they made the playoffs last year, but it's time for them to win and move that team forward in the playoffs. You got to give credit to the guys upstairs, right, for bringing in additions to this defense, to this offense, to this coaching staff. And when it comes to, and I know you were going to get to it, but when it comes to it, okay, just think about anything and everything you've done in your life. The first time you've done it, the very first time that you did, I don't know, went to your college class, first time you drove a car, no matter what it is, the first time you do something, you're apprehensive, right? Like you're a little bit nervous about doing it. I look at the head coach last year saying this is his first time doing that. And we've had a number of times throughout the season, not saying that he's not going to make those mistakes again, but we had a number of times throughout last year where people were questioning his decision, whether it was going forward on a 4th and short, whether it was time management. He was still learning on the job. And so now I'm sure he went through that entire season and he said, I need to correct this. I would have done this. I would have done that. Not saying he's not going to make these same mistakes again, but chances are they're shrinking that he's going to make those mistakes again. So I think he is the number one, Donald, piece in this entire puzzle, because players play. Like LeBron James shows up all the time. Patrick Mahomes shows up all the time. Outside of injury, players play. I like to call them ballers, but they play. If you are good, you're going to make plays. I don't care who you are. Tyreek Hill, he's a damn good player. He's going to make plays. He's going to score touchdowns. He's going to have big catches. Xavier Howard, he is a good player. He is going to make plays. He's going to come up with INTs. The only question I have about Xavier Howard is, okay, did he get to that point where his body is failing him?
Yeah.
Will he get hurt?
I think he's 30 now, or he's on the wrong side of 30.
And you can't control that. I don't care how much you work out. I don't care how much you do extra stuff. When your body wants to fail you, it fails you. That's just how it goes. So outside of health, I go head coach number 1. Number 2, I go defensive coordinator, right?
Well, and look at this. I don't know if you can see this on the screen, Troy. This is from Alfredo from 3 yards per carry. Better battle at training camp. Hill and Waddle
that's going to be great.
Versus X and Ramsey, which is going to be that to me. That's what I'm bringing my popcorn for. Or the battles when you get those 11-on-11s going. Mike McDaniel calling the offense versus Vic Fangio calling the defense. That's going to be a chess match as well.
That is absolutely great. When it comes to the players on the field, I don't know if it's actually a competition. I think it's more about communication and one helping the other get better. Like, okay, Tyreek Hill, he got Ramsey on this play. They're going to have a conversation. They're going to start talking. Next time Ramsey goes out there, he's going to sit there and say, okay, he lined up here. This is what he could do to me. It's so many things that go on when it comes to defense head coach and defense coordinator. They're going to sit there and they're going to try and outfox each other, but it's a team concept. So they know what they're trying to work on the field before they go out on the field. So we're going to work on this today. Now, Coach McDaniel, we're going to work on this today. Now, defense coordinator is sitting there saying, all right, how do we defend this if we see this? But again, I go back to how much fun this offense was last year. I thought it was great. Outside of injury, it was absolutely fun. It got you out of your seat. The Miami Dolphins had big plays. And so now I'm sitting there saying, how much more comfortable is Coach McDaniel in year 2, reviewing year 1, and him sitting there saying, I got this I could play with, I could do this, I think it's going to be, believe it or not, I believe it's going to be totally different than what we saw last year, to a different level. I really think that the Miami Dolphins are going to be on this level where they can. I'm not afraid, and I think I said this last year, but I'm not afraid of playing any team in the National Football League with what the Miami Dolphins have on offense, what the Miami Dolphins have on defense, what the Miami Dolphins have on special teams. So.
Yeah, I mean, you could just see within the last couple of years, the Dolphins closing that gap between teams like the Chiefs and the Bills, right? I mean, last year the Bills took 2 out of 3 from the Dolphins, but the Dolphins won a thriller against the Bills, and they nearly beat them both other times, including the playoff matchup when they were down to their third quarterback.
With the third-string quarterback, okay?
Exactly.
Third-string quarterback in a playoff game on the road. And the Miami Dolphins haven't had an opportunity to win that game. They didn't win that game, but that's all right. And that just builds confidence. And I am out of anything, I am looking forward to see Bradley Chubb, how he steps up, how he plays, how Ramsey plays. I really think it's going to be a huge year for the safety.
Javon Holland.
Sorry, I forgot his name. I think he's going to have a huge year.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to spend his time, in my opinion, helping out my right cornerback, helping out my left cornerback. He could get more involved, and he's a physical guy. He could get more involved in the running game. He could get more freelance in the passing game. And I think when you have, because this is a passing game now in the National Football League, they throw the ball all over the place.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm sitting there saying, it affords the Miami Dolphins with a freedom, with their free safety, where he's not worried about, oh, I got to help out this cornerback over here because he's not at that certain level. And I really think that Holland's going to have a huge year for the Miami Dolphins at the safety position. I mean, when you have lockdown cornerbacks, like back in the day, and I'm going back, Deion Sanders, when he locked down that side of the field, the safety didn't have to look over there. The safety went to the other side. He helped out someone over there. And so I think that it's going to be a big year out of him. And he has shown over the last year or two that he's an outstanding player. He has a nose for football. He's a smart player. Big things out of him this year.
Well, and I want to get into a couple more of Troy's questions and concerns heading into training camp. But I want to remind everybody before we get to all that we are proudly brought to you by Prize Picks and You Break Wheel Fix. Guys, you should be utilizing Prize Picks even during the football offseason because there's plenty of baseball action going on, soccer, international friendlies, Women's World Cup, MLS, regular season action. You can get props on Messi. Messi is now in Miami. Inter Miami is playing tonight. So there's so much going on Prize Picks. Sign up. It just takes a few minutes. PrizePicks.com or the Prize Picks mobile app and use our code 5. FIVE. Use our code 5 and they're going to match your first deposit up to $100 with free play money right there for you to use on the app. It's awesome. It's fully legal in the state of Florida, by the way, easy to deposit, and it just takes seconds to get your money out. So sign up with our code 5, FIVE, and they're going to match your first deposit up to $100. So the way Prize Picks works is it combines my love for parlays and daily fantasy. You simply select 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 players and predict if they're going to go over or under, higher or lower than their various stat projections. And if you get all your picks correct, you're winning real money, and you can win big money on there. So check it out, prizepicks.com or the Prize Picks mobile app with our code 5, and they're going to double your first deposit up to $100. We're also brought to you by our great friends at You Break Wheel Fix, the complete automotive wheel solution. You ever park your car too close to the sidewalk curb? I know I have. I did that recently, actually. You Break Wheel Fix specializes in the repair of damaged wheels from bends, cracks, curb rash. Are your wheels faded or peeling? You don't need to replace them, as You Break Wheel Fix can refinish them to like new. They offer complete refinish options through powder coating, matching, polishing. You Break Wheel Fix is the answer to all of your wheel needs, and they can even trick your wheels out. They can make your wheels, refinish them in Dolphins colors, Hurricanes colors, Miami Heat colors, Vice colors. They can give your ride a new look. You Break Wheel Fix offers also many car customizing options, such as new custom wheels and tires from your favorite brands, performance upgrades, window tinting, suspension modifications, and it's located just south of Aventura. You can reach Mark and his staff at 305-748-0112 or online at youbreakwheelfix.com. They're really active on social media as well. All platforms at You Break Wheel Fix. So shoot them a DM on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter to get an estimate in just minutes at You Break Wheel Fix. Alex Donno and former Miami Dolphin Troy Stradford with you here on the Extra Yard as veterans are reporting for Miami Dolphins training camp. First practice gets underway in just a few days. So Troy, you mentioned, Mike McDaniel, the adjustments he needs to make heading into year 2. Any other big questions or concerns you have? Because for me, and I know I sound like a broken record, you got to keep your quarterback healthy because when he's healthy, it's night and day. A completely different team when Tua Tagovailoa is healthy. Part of that, is on him. He's doing the jiu-jitsu in the offseason. But the bigger part of that to me is, can the offensive line keep him upright? You could be a black belt in jiu-jitsu, and that's not going to help you if your O-line's getting you killed. So how's the O-line going to be this year?
I know I mentioned Coach McDaniel, defense coordinator, right? But when it comes to the offensive line coach, Butch Berry, he has almost he cannot control injuries, okay?
Right.
And I try and whenever I'm talking to someone about the season, how the Dolphins are going to do, how is Tua going to make out, I go outside of injury. We can't control injuries. Injuries happen. And the Miami Dolphins offensive line last year suffered some injuries, right? Left tackle, right tackle. Like, you can't win without your left tackle, without your right tackle. And so now Miami Dolphins, they made a change at the offensive line position. And I've always said, and I don't know if I'm right on this, it's just what I thought. That is the one position that you could play in the National Football League with technique. Yeah, you have to be athletic, but I want to see the system of how it's starting to work up front, the camaraderie that those guys have up front. And if they stay healthy, okay, they got to stay healthy. I just want to see the difference that's going to make the difference for the Miami Dolphins on this thing, because they have to protect Tua. They have to be able to run the ball as well. As much as we like to see them throw the ball, when they need to get a yard, when they need to get 2 yards or 3 yards, they got to go get it. So as a group, and I'm talking about the entire team, I could really sit here and say, outside of head coach McDaniel, the offensive line coach may be the biggest blockbuster on this football team, because, again, I'm not worried about Tyreek Hill making plays, Waddle making plays, Tua making plays. I'm not worried about Howard making plays. I'm not worried about these guys making plays. If you're a player, you're a player. You're going to make plays. You're going to come to the ballpark, and I hate to put the baseball reference in there. You're going to go to the football field, and you're going to make plays. Long as they stay healthy, that's the biggest question mark, okay? But the coaching, I think this year makes, I can't tell you how big I feel the coaching will play a role for this Miami Dolphins team this year.
I'm with you on that 1,000%. And I'm also with you on Tyreek Hill, who I think is going to have a monster year. He just was able to put his legal trouble behind him, reached a settlement with that marina worker that he had the incident with. It seems like he could just focus now on football heading into training camp week. And so Tyreek had mentioned that his goal is to eclipse the 2,000-yard receiving mark. And if he does that, that would be a single-season receiving record, because Calvin Johnson holds the record at 1964, 1,964 yards. And Troy, if Tyreek stays healthy and if Tua stays healthy, I think Tyreek is going to break that record and go over 2,000 yards this year. Because I look at his numbers last year in a season when, he didn't have his starting quarterback for a handful of games, and we saw what a difference it made when Tua was on the field versus off the field. So if I'm going to assume that Tua is going to be on the field more consistently this year, Hill last year had 1,710 receiving yards, 14.4 yards per catch, which was, not his career high, but in that conversation with his better years. I think he's going to go over 2,000 this year, Troy, unless injuries are a factor either for him or for the quarterback.
And we're going to enjoy watching him do that, because it is right there at their fingertips. I believe, again, this offense is going to be more creative. They're going to show us more ways in which they can get their stars open. Head coach will be a lot more comfortable calling plays, whatever it is. Like you said, outside of health, I think all of us Dolphin fans should sit here and you get your popcorn ready, because this could be special. I love how Tyreek talks.
Yeah,
it's not being cocky. It's not like Donald, he knows how good he is. He knows that no one in the National Football League can cover him, and that's a fact. No one one-on-one could carry him.
Not even Jalen Ramsey, who he's going to see in practice.
No one could cover him. Now, will you make plays as a defensive player against him on occasion? Yes, because you're a damn good NFL player yourself. But he knows doggone well how confident he is, his skill level, and Tua knows that the energy they must feel from one another, and including Jalen Waddle, it's insane. If you are a defense going to play against the Miami Dolphins that week, and I know you're confident as well, but you're sitting there saying, "Oh my God, like what am I going to do to slow this down, to stop that?" So if the offensive line is solid with the new system that's going into place, Tyreek Hill is off the charts. Waddle is off the charts also because he's getting that from Tyreek, but he already had it coming out of Alabama. Tua just needs to stay healthy. Donald, this could be, I'm telling you, this could be, and this is the most excited that I've been about an offseason when it comes to the Miami Dolphins that I can remember. They could do some damage here, and I think that every team that they're getting ready to play is sitting there saying, "Oh my goodness, how do we slow them down? How do we slow them down?" And I'll go back to the offseason, right when the whole Aaron Rodgers deal happened. He went to the New York Jets. You remember how excited I was? I was like, I like that he's going to the Jets. That's just 2 more games on the Miami Dolphins schedule, coaching staff, players, where they're more focused because they know they have to rise to another level to slow them down, to beat Aaron Rodgers. And I'm sitting there saying, well, what the hell are people thinking when they come to play the Miami Dolphins? What they're thinking is, we got to get the Tua. We got to get him out of there. That's what they're thinking. It's not like, oh, we're going to shut down Tyreek Hill. You're not. We're not going to shut down Waddle. The running game is definitely solid for the Miami Dolphins. This is going to be a big year for the Miami Dolphins. Big year. Big year.
Well,
you heard it.
I love it. And in the next episode that Troy and I do together, hopefully later this week, I want to talk a little bit about another running back option. We'll see how things play out with Dalvin Cook. Do you have any thought on that before we wrap it up?
I don't know what's going to happen with him. I think he'll end up in a nice place. I don't know if it's with the Miami Dolphins. I understand the Miami Dolphins put an offer out there, but, they were lowballing him at the time. I have to ask this question.
Yeah.
The pronunciation, I hate to put you on the spot, the pronunciation of the rookie running back that the Miami Dolphins drafted out of Texas A&M.
It's easier than you think. Devon Achane.
Devon Achane.
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 A lot of people are like, is it Achane? Achane. Easy enough, right?
Okay. He is the first running back that I looked at and said, he reminds me of me.
Ooh.
Now, I'm not saying I'm a Hall of Famer.
Now, see, now, I guess I'm wrong here because Alfredo is saying it's Achane. Well, listen, all I can tell you is unless he pulled a Patrick Surtain and decided to change it. When I covered him in college, everyone was calling him Achane, but I stand corrected.
Achane.
I'm gonna keep calling him Achane. It sounds way cooler.
I like his game. I really like, and I remember when he was drafted, I went and looked at some highlights and stuff like that. I think he has excellent footwork. I can't wait to talk to him one day because I want to ask him about his vision. Like, I thought one of my biggest assets was my vision. Like, I could see the whole field. There are a lot of guys that play this sport and they have tunnel vision, like a horse in a race. They got on the blinders so that they don't see the horse on the other side of them. And I look forward to talking to him because I watch his game and I go, I like what he does there. He makes people miss. However, he could run between the tackles as well. He could catch the ball out of the backfield. And I said, he reminds me of Troy Stradford back in the day. So let's see what happens with him.
I love that.
But
Huge.
Dalvin Cook, I don't think he ends up here with the Miami Dolphins. I mean, if he did, oh my goodness. I just don't see it happening.
Well, we will revisit that. Maybe there will be some resolution by the next time we do an episode. He's Troy Stradford, former Miami Dolphins running back. I am Alex Donno. I encourage everyone, subscribe to 5 Reasons Sports on YouTube and subscribe to the 3 Yards Per Carry audio feed. We are an extension of that show where Alfredo, Chris, and Simon do a fantastic job. They recently came back. Last week was their first episode back to kind of finish off the offseason, so you know football is back. You can get our episodes, the audio version, on the 3 Yards Per Carry audio feed. For Troy Stradford, I am Alex Donno. We'll talk to you again next time on another episode of The Extra Yard, part of the
Football is here.
Football is here. We are part of the awesome